Hello everybody, welcome to Where's the Popcorn? I'm your host Simon Poole. And on this episode, I'm going to discuss the Charlie's Angels movie that came out in 2019.
Oh, that in-ear radio thing you guys have?
Ah, even better. It's a subdermal transmitter. Works through bone conduction. See?
So I'm getting a tattoo?
No. Tattoos are earned by angels over time. You'll get a less permanent version.
Yeah, comms are concealed in the link.
As long as you have it on, you can hear us.
Cool, but can I take these mints?
No, avoid the mints. Actually, let's just stop the touching around here. You know, some of these blows up.
Oh.
This movie wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. Before I started watching Charlie's Angels, I was kind of wondering if this was like a reboot, remake, or maybe a sequel. Well, the question was answered, and it's a sequel. Sort of. You see, Patrick Stewart, yes, that Patrick Stewart stars in this movie. Something I didn't know before watching. He was having a leaving party type thing, and they had some Photoshop type images featuring Patrick with the original Charlie's Angels, and also the ones from the early 2000s. That being Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, and Lucy Liu. I've seen those two movies from the 2000s, but I can barely remember them, and I've never seen the originals. So with that being said, was Bosley always around? Like, there is quite a few people on this called Bosley, but I'm trying to remember the 2000s movies. I think there were multiple Bosleys. I won't talk about the story too much because it's kind of a trope that's been done to death. Not only was the bad guy a good guy, but he's also British. That being Bosley, or Patrick Stewart. They even did a fake out of, oh no, blonde Bosley is the bad guy. Psych, it's bald Bosley that's the bad guy kind of thing. They even had an M-type scene from the James Bond movies, like, here's some gadgets you'll need type thing. I don't think the writing was bad, but if I can guess correctly what's going to happen 20 minutes in, maybe be more original in the writing, which is rich coming from a reboot, remake, remaster? I don't know. Requel? Also, they had a silent antagonist. The first time I saw that was in Gone in 60 Seconds, which came out in 2000. I would understand it if they advertised this as a parody movie. That is, if they ever advertised it in the first place. Also, there is this thing that happens, which is weird, that this is the second movie I've seen this happen, with the first one being the Ghostbusters movie I talked about a few episodes back. I can't remember if I mentioned this in that episode, so I'll discuss it here. In Ghostbusters, you had the three Ghostbusters getting called by someone to help them. They then spend the whole movie working on that case, and the person they helped ends up being a member of the Ghostbusters. Well, that also happened on Charlie's Angels too. The Angels get called by someone, they spend the whole movie on this case, and this someone becomes an angel at the end. Just thought I'd bring it up, just thought it was weird that it happened in two movies that I've watched for Where's the Popcorn? Now, I'll start with a few things. I remember the director, Elizabeth Banks, saying something that was basically her coming up with excuses why the Charlie's Angels movie didn't do well, kind of blaming superhero movies or something like that. And when I heard about those complaints, the first time I heard them, the first thing that came to my mind was there was a Charlie's Angels movie, and I think that might be why it failed. Where was the advertisements? Where was the trailers? Now, I live in the UK, and we are a bit behind the rest of the world when it comes to entertainment. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they started showing Happy Days trailers and calling it new, but that's besides the point. The thing is, I don't ever remember seeing any trailers for it. Like, at all. I never saw any online. Did they show any in the US? And if people did see a trailer, they could have unfortunately seen who starred in it. Unfortunately, as in Kristen Stewart, and automatically think of Twilight. And avoid this movie because of it. I still think people think that way with Robert Pattinson, because I think people were saying that for the Batman movie. The other two angels are played by Naomi Scott and Ella Balinska, and I think I pronounced that correctly. For anyone who wants to know, Naomi Scott is known for being Jasmine in the live-action version of Aladdin, and Ella Balinska is known for being the face model and voice actor for the video game called Forspoken, which is a game I'd like to play, but heard it's bad because the writing. Anyway, there's also a possibility that because this movie is too close to the TV show reboot from 2011, the one that seems to appear on nearly every top 10 list of worst TV shows ever, Yeah, that one. Because it's less than a decade from that, it's probably still in people's memories and don't fancy watching this because of it. But it does make me wonder if that failed one-season show is canon as well. I'll take things we'll never know for 500, please. Those are some theories I have on why I think this didn't work, but the main theory I have, it's just the wrong decade for this. Look, the original Charlie's Angels show, that is definitely a 70s show. It wasn't going to work in the 80s or the 90s, and the only reason it worked in the 2000s was the star power in the movie. Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu, Drew Barrymore, and it even had Bill Murray. Look at all these other movies and TV shows that was rebooted from old shows. We had The A-Team, that Scream's 80s show. That movie was obviously not going to work. Then you had Baywatch. That is always going to be a 90s show. If they made that any earlier or even later, it's not going to work. Why did they make that a movie? They tried bringing back Knight Rider twice and it failed. Why? Because that show is not going to work outside of the 80s. There is a possibility that remaking an old TV show will work, but that is a big risk. And of all of the choices they picked this one, a property that has been rebooted twice already. Although technically not a reboot, but you know what I mean. Maybe it would have done better with bigger names for the Angels, or not have someone who suffers from the unfortunate Twilight syndrome. I would not have done a Charlie's Angels movie at all. Now, I don't know what the mindset of the director and writer Elizabeth Banks was, so fair warning. I could be way off with what I'm about to say, so remember that. If she wanted to make a movie for the sole purpose of showing that girls can kick ass too, but wanted to reboot something, I'd say The Bionic Woman would be best. Although this could suffer from the exact same problems that I mentioned. And it even had a failed reboot TV show that was in 2007 and has never appeared in any top 10 crappiest TV shows list. When it comes to rebooted stuff, for a lot of them, there is no saving them. There was an interview that I sort of remember that happened recently with Jenny Ortega. And she said something along the lines of not having enough women franchise roles. I know I'm misremembering and maybe even paraphrasing it, but I get what she means. Unfortunately, Hollywood is too dependent on old IPs, so if people want a movie like that, they really have to dig into the vault to do it. Yeah, they are making original movies, but they are few and far between, and I don't see them taking a risk like that to do a movie like that. But hey, maybe that's why they tried Ghostbusters and Madam Web. But you never know. I could be wrong. What do you think? Do you think Charlie's Angels could have been saved, or was it just doomed to fail? Thank you for joining me today on Where's the Popcorn? I've been your host, Simon Poole, and I hope to see you again next time. Goodbye.